In today's video, I'll be going over ideas and recommendations for things that should be added into Rise of Nations. This is going to be a different type of video, not an event video, not a gameplay video, and hopefully you guys enjoy it. Please be sure to like and subscribe, and let's get straight to it. Alright, for the first idea of the list, coming from Fist of Fury, there should be suicide planes that can attack other planes and ships, but there is a 45% chance they can explode before they get there. I think this is a great idea. The 45% chance thing, I think that's very reliable. It's perfectly balanced. It's not too broken. You don't have suicide planes just destroying people's entire fleets of navy or aircraft. I think it's balanced. I think it makes sense. And I think it could honestly be implemented into the game. It would just be like a smaller attacker looking type plane, and I feel like ideologically oriented in the way that okay, you're fascist, and the chance when you use suicide planes is a lot higher, or communist is a lot higher if you have like an extreme ideology. I think, yeah, the chance should increase. So I think this is a great idea overall. Thank you to Fist of Fury, and on to the next idea. Alright, and the next idea comes from Drunk Zionic, and he says, add maps for certain years, e.g. I don't know what e.g. means, I'm kind of stupid. World Conquest has 1944, map would automatically plus 1944, it should be the same for Ron, make life 10 times easier. I probably read that like an idiot, kind of feel illiterate the way I read that, but I'm assuming this is like, I think I've mentioned this idea referring to Hearts of Iron 4, like how Hearts of Iron 4 has presets. They have, I believe, a 1939 and 1941 preset, which puts the map in different places in time, obviously. And I think this is useful specifically for when you're hosting events, when you're just doing events in general, and it kind of plays into more the roleplay aspect of Rise of Nations. And I think that's a very important thing that should be expanded upon. This next idea comes from my senior moderator in my Discord, and he says, what about setting your own population count in VIP servers? I think this is a great idea. I think the VIP server updates, I think he should focus more on that when HyperRant's updating games like this. I think it's important because I feel like the YouTube space for Rise of Nations in a way influences the way players play, and a lot of kind of the audience that Rise of Nations has in general is mainly from YouTubers. So making hosting events a lot easier, it's something that's very important, I think, and will overall benefit everybody. Yeah, for sure. Okay, this has to be one of my favorite comments. Add intercontinental ballistic missiles, basically nukes but weaker, easier to make, and you can protect it with anti-rocket systems. I think I read that wrong, but whatever. I love this idea. I've been saying this for a minute. I think missiles would be amazing. I think like, okay, you could have cheap missiles, you could have expensive missiles, and you could have like mid-tier missiles. And obviously they would all vary in different ranges, like intercontinental or continental, which has like 500 meters or like 10,000 meters or kilometers or whatever. But I think like the damage rate would go differently. So like if you have a small missile and you're attacking maybe like 100 meters away and your enemy has like 45k troops, you probably bring it down to about 35, you feel me? Like it kills like a good 10k troops. I think you can expand upon like silos. Either you want to use silos to launch missiles, which I feel like is doing way too much. I feel like you should just make like missile like carriers. Okay, yeah, I actually remembered. It's like HIMARS, the American-made HIMARS system. Something like that. Kind of have it look like, I'm going to pop up the images on screen because I can't really verbalize this, but this is a generally really cool idea. Is it too much to think that, what if you had like missiles that like specifically targeted planes? That may be doing too much, but I think missiles could be useful in a lot of other formats. Other than just ground infantry, you could use missiles to take out ships. If even, I think that's an amazing idea. Okay, another idea comes from Lord Pengen. He says, natural disasters impact the economy for 10 to 365 days. Depending on the severity of the disaster, you have to pay for repairs, and manpower slightly decreases. Things such as hurricanes, floods, droughts, and earthquakes. Now, I think this is actually a bad idea, and it's kind of why I put this on the list, because I've heard to add natural disasters a lot, and I don't think it's a good idea, because I feel like certain countries are just prone to way more natural disasters. Like if they made the natural disaster cycle realistic, then the Philippines would be an unplayable country. Like, bro, I don't think it's a good idea at all. I think it's gonna be an extra thing that people add. A lot of people have asked for it, and it's just gonna annoy a lot of players when, bro, when your country's unplayable. When you're playing Ethiopia and you're in a drought. When you're playing Iran, Iraq, and you're in a drought. I don't think a lot of people would like it, generally speaking. But a lot of people ask for it, so it is very confusing. But yeah, no, don't do this. Do not let bro cook. Not a good idea. So on to the next. Here's an idea that I think is a good idea. Come from Lil Moba, aka Explosive Landmine. He says, "Let us build on puppets. Collect their." Wait, am I reading that wrong? Let us build on puppets and collect their political points for a boost. I think this is a great idea. I think puppets are something that could be expanded on way more in the game. I think if they boosted puppets to the point where you kind of don't want a conquest, I think that, let's say you're playing as Iran and then you puppet state Iraq, right? In that, the way they could boost it and make puppeting a lot more favorable in games is that, okay, you make way more money having puppets than actually conquering the country. I think that's a very smart idea. And to balance that out, I'd say it's as easy as, okay, if that country has any issue, your stability kind of drops. Like your stability is kind of taking a hit when you have puppets and things of that nature. But I think expanding on puppets is a thing that should happen. Collecting their political points for a boost, I think that's a cool idea. But I do think that, okay, instead of conquering, puppet states make way more money. Because I know it's a lot more exploitive, and I think it just makes more sense. Alright. Okay, for my last idea, I want to get a little visual representation, so I have the Microsoft Paint out. Let's imagine this is your city. I don't know what to call it, but let's pretend this is New York, and you're playing USA. Now, imagine that this city has one of each factory on it. You have your steel, motor, electronic, fertilizer, and your aircraft parts. All 4 types of factories. And then you also have an airport on the city. Now, what I think is important... Oh, airport and recruitment. Let me not forget that. Now, what this city would then become is a tourist. It's so hard to type on this. It's a tourist destination, and you gain way more money. You gain way more money off a city like this. Now, if the city's captured, then you lose stability. I think this makes sense if you're playing as a smaller countries, maybe excluding the airport part because you would need over 500,000 population. But I think this is a good idea, and every country could have up to like just 5 tourist destinations, and if it's captured by the enemy, you lose stability, which I think makes sense. It's kind of like, okay, you have a really important city like let's say St. Petersburg or Rostov or Stalingrad, and you lose a city like that. Like, it's a pretty significant city in a country. Or like, let's say you're playing Germany in a regular Iran match and you lose Frankfurt as your tourist destination, then you lose stability and a lot of money. So I think that makes sense. I think it's cool. I think it's a small little feature that could be added. It could be very useful for smaller countries to help them make more money, but the drawback is that if you're playing a smaller country and you have maxed out tourist spots, if you go to war, you cannot lose those cities, or it makes your country collapsing a lot easier. So, a small little idea. Hope you guys like it. I'm not sure if it's good. I'm not sure if it's bad. Let me know in the comments. This is pretty much the end of the video. Be sure to like and subscribe. This is probably the worst Microsoft Paint representation ever. This literally makes 0 sense. So, yeah. Alright.